Hey everyone, welcome to Neil Talks. My name's Neil and it's time to talk Taskmaster. And it's just been a really good series so far, hasn't it? It's been a lot of fun. I'm really digging the contestants. I think this is genuinely the first time I've watched this show where I haven't had a favorite in the race. I admire the commitment to actual good performance by John and Steve and even Joanne. I really enjoyed the chaotic clumsiness of Sophie and Nick. If you had told me that Nick was going to be on this series, I might have been apprehensive because I really wasn't a fan of his when I discovered him on Cats Does Countdown. But now that he's not playing that character, now that he's essentially just being himself, he's a really sweet, genuinely nice dude, and I'm happy for him whenever he succeeds. Now, granted, that isn't very often, but how can you not like somebody like Nick Mohammed? He's just a really kind soul, which makes it all the more fun when Greg crushes his dreams and gives him 1 point repeatedly. So yeah, it's just been an ensemble that I can really get behind. But it does raise the interesting point that three of our contestants, because it's a rather imbalanced ensemble as far as their performance goes, like Nick and Sophie are almost invariably the bottom two, and the other three have been sharing the wins. The potential that one of those three does especially well this series is real and could easily usurp Dara O'Brien at the all-time summit of Taskmaster champions, at least as far as points is concerned, which I'm fine with, except for the fact that it feels a little. I would love to see whether Greg has actually statistically been more generous with the points this series. It feels like he has. I don't have data to back that up, but I'm sure that data is out there. You know, just because there's the same number of tasks every series doesn't necessarily mean the same number of points are given out because of disqualifications, because of judgment calls, especially in team tasks, because of random bonus tasks and whatnot, tiebreakers. There's lots of ways that total can skew. So I would be curious to be steered towards the data. But let's keep an eye on it because I think John especially has a real chance to topple Dara's record. So let's keep an eye out for whether that happens or not. But anyway, nothing to talk about this episode other than let's jump into it, shall we? This is episode 7 of Series 17 of Taskmaster. Hey everyone, future Neil here. Those of you who've been around for a while may have noticed that I have a new mic, and I'm still figuring out some of the things that it can do. And unfortunately, one of the things it can do is it can mute itself in the middle of a recording, which is what happened during my first pass. Somewhere between my intro and the start of my actual watch along, my mic muted itself, or I probably did it without knowing. Anyway, I have no audio track to my original reaction, which means I have to re-record it now. So this is not my first time watching it. My reaction at the end will not be my first post-commentary. I'll try and remember the things I thought of the first time. But yeah, my apologies for that. Hopefully it won't happen again. Let's get to it. Probably when I moved it, I hit a button. That would be my guess.
Give a comedian a task and they'll damage their reputation, career, and if previous series are anything to go by, their marriages.
Okay, whose marriage has ended because of Taskmaster? Please let me know.
A man who is adamant that anyone who didn't go to university should be forced to live in a field. Bovine style, to quote him.
Can't even hold it together. I love it.
The snazziest hollow thing. Brilliant.
My mind immediately goes to globes, but that's because I'm a map nerd.
Basic bitch instinct, literal, answer the brief.
It's a boot full of chips.
You think that the chips in some way make the
Yeah.
already snazzy boots snazzier?
Are boots hollow? I would argue something can only be hollow if it's fully enclosed.
Thank you for bringing in a snazzy boot and then putting chips in it.
No worries.
What a basic bitch.
Can you beat a boot full of chips? Let me answer that for you. Yes.
I'm going to introduce you to something called the John Robbins price-to-value ratio.
It's the Robbins PTVR, yeah?
As I present to you a Fabergé egg.
Ooh.
This is like an eBay thing for like a fiver, is it?
That's where the Robbins PTVR comes in. Those looking to invest in one should be looking at between £13 to £18.
I think it's horrible.
Okay. Note to self, don't do knockoff Fabergé for Greg.
The soundtrack to the 1999 film Sleepy Hollow.
If you could just do a sort of sound alike.
Oh, okay. Do you really want me to? Can't remember it.
Keep going.
Sophie, what have you brought?
A conch.
Exactly
Yeah.
that.
Lord of the Flies.
Great.
Put glitter on it.
Didn't
to
have glitter,
snazz it
though.
up. The glittery conch.
Okay.
It sounds sexual, doesn't it?
Yes, it
It
does.
sounds like you should see a doctor.
You can practically see it tonight, actually.
Well, it's up there. You've got oyster at the bottom, limpet, cockle, mussel, scallop, conch, carry, knobbed whelk.
I should have gone for a knobbed well.
I brought in what I think is a snazzy hollow promise.
Yeah, well, I'll show you this picture first.
I feel like I've been tricked.
Yes, you have.
I promised to come to your stag do next week and I will be dressed as a minotaur.
Did you go dressed as a minotaur?
Of course not. I had no intention. Absolute contempt for the general public. If you reveal your cat Zipser, you Kaiser Sose.
Well, Cat
Who
Zipser,
is Cat
of course,
Zipser?
is an anagram of prize task.
Okay, it's scoring time.
I don't like that egg.
But is it a hollow? Is it snazzy?
Because of your beautiful rendition in my ear, I'm going to give you 3 points.
Thank you. I feel I've done really well out of it.
Oh, God,
You have.
I sort of want that glittery conch. So I'm going to give Steve 4 and Sophie 5.
Who wouldn't want Sophie's glittery conch?
What fresh hell is this?
Happy?
No.
No.
What have you caught?
Fastest correct answer wins.
What do I have to do?
Someone who's never used a fishing rod.
Pack's just caught on the back.
Oh, I've just, sorry, Steve, just pause the clock.
Well done,
you're doing
Neil
all right,
Amor,
thanks.
location sound for Taskmaster. Neils are always the
Thanks,
unsung
Neil.
heroes.
Is it? How will I know when I've caught it?
Well, you can only give one answer, so you'll know when you've caught it.
Is it a fish?
Is it?
Is it a fish?
Why am I wearing these bloody waders?
In case you get wet, Steve.
I don't get it.
Is there another thing that I'm missing here?
Yep. Most certainly is.
I'm not giving up.
There's a fish here. Seems like a natural choice.
It does, doesn't it?
Is that your answer?
Well, no, not yet.
Okay.
I've caught this boot, which is where I started.
Too bad, Steve.
Okay, fish.
I've written down fish.
To me, that's an impossible task. It was definitely one of the more boring tasks.
So I've got to go and follow it, haven't I?
Okay.
Keep that still. Thank you. That's
Yep.
good.
You're off.
So I'm off.
Best actor on the show.
Oh, no, it's just a red herring.
Guessing I don't need to open that, do I?
Well, you could.
It's not helpful to open the box, Alex.
Something's helpful in there.
An arrow pointing to a hole.
There's an arrow.
Yeah. Just go out the back.
Mannequin.
Is that what you think you caught?
I'm looking into your eyes. Is it the mannequin? It's not. Because
I noticed the Series 15 cast up on the wall. Do they have all the various casts on the walls in the house now? Or just Series 15?
why?
Hey, look at that.
Caught
It's a fish. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did it.
I could have just said fish at the start, really, couldn't I?
Yeah. Everything pointed that way.
I should have thought the sound guy was a liar.
No.
Most Neils are liars, to be fair.
Why would you do that?
Well, everything was a red herring as well, which led you to fish. You were wearing fishing clothes and you were holding a fishing rod.
That's because we were fishing for something.
It was a fish.
There was...
I can read eyes very easily. I look into yours, I see a lot of sadness. This
Accurate.
demonic. naturally very demonic.
Oh, okay.
Sadness and demonic.
Okay, come on. Where's that going? It's a fun one, Alex. Why am I waiting?
I love how much fun he's having.
Oh, I caught a fish!
Look how excited he is.
That was really good. Well done. Thank you. Oh,
I mean, he just did it beautifully.
Just a nimble little mouse.
He didn't overthink it. Let that be a lesson to all of you.
Yeah.
Stop thinking.
3 for Joanne, 4 for John. Nick got it in 3 minutes, and you get 5 points.
Well done, Nikki.
Perform a recognisable piece of classical music without using any musical instrument. Nope.
No, a camera's not a squeeze box.
I'm not allowed to use a musical instrument. We're going to have to make one.
Mm-hmm.
So funny.
It's just as funny the second time.
Interpretive time.
Yes. never crossed her mind to make any noise at all.
What I realized the first time I watched this is I don't know enough classical music. Because it's clear John's playing something, but I can't attach it to anything I've ever heard or remembered. I do like the oversized clothes hanger, though. And I have no idea what Sophie's doing.
More
Vigorous.
towards the end.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I still don't hear it, even when I know what it is.
Because you were trying so hard.
We spent a lot of time tuning
That's
the
been
guitar
John all
in order that I could
series.
then tune the harp.
Sophie, your VT is something that normally would be followed by someone saying, "Oh, bless her."
I got really excited, and then when I threw my drumsticks, I was fucked.
Just to show how close they were to the original.
All right.
Here we go.
Like I said, I don't recognize the piece, but it's clearly a good match. At least I can recognize what Sophie was going for here. I wouldn't have ever guessed it just seeing her performance. I feel like you could play any background instrumental to this and it would be as accurate.
That music was not what I was playing.
Green sleeves?
Yes. I'll hum it for you.
Ah.
It won't be any better. It's no better a match.
I sort of think we should have stuck with the original.
Here, at last, is Joanne performing her recognisable piece of classical music in the most accomplished way. It's a piece of music. It's one word. First syllable sounds like...
Lads, lads, lads.
Does not sound like beer. The first syllable of bolero does not sound like beer.
It sounds like an ice cream.
Also, we do not have Solera brand ice cream here. I never would have got that clue either.
Beer. It sounds like an ice cream. Oh,
Not a rose in sight.
I've got a biro.
Yeah, throw it at me.
You're welcome.
Do you recognise the piece of classical music?
Well, I do. I think I do, because I like a nice lolly.
Which is?
A Solero. It would be bolero.
Yes, because the first syllable is beer.
Right? And then this is just genuinely impressive. I'm so proud of Nick.
It does feel a bit a bit smug, though, doesn't it?
Conductors are smug, aren't they?
And a lot of the time, not needed.
I've watched orchestras, they're never looking up at that dickhead. Bloody good, wasn't it?
Mozart was used in Penguins of Madagascar, of course.
That's where it's most well known.
So I think we can safely give Steve 1 point.
Worse than Joanne?
Yeah, I'd be a little offended if I was him too.
The question is Joanne's better than Sophie's?
Yes. No.
Oh, Sophie.
Sophie 2 points, and that madness can have 3. And then, you know, my darling boy.
Daddy's so proud.
There's Nick Mohammed, 5 points.
Well done, Nick.
Well done, Nick.
What's the crack?
No, I never know how to answer that.
Is that an Irish? That must be an Irish thing. What's the crack? Is it just a how you doing?
Red ink. Is that relevant?
It looks orange.
It's sort of orange.
Take Alex to one side.
Confess your favourite piece of kitchen equipment.
Scream a body part of your choice in his face.
Declare a gardening tool in a silly voice.
Spatula.
Think long and hard about what items you're telling him, because you know it's going to matter.
It's a cheese grater.
You know this isn't a task on its own.
Forgive me, Father, for I have...
Technically, John's making an error here because he's not taking Alex to the side. He's quite clearly in the center.
Boob, 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 boob. Hose. Who's pipe?
Rick.
Interesting.
Oh.
What have you done? Yeah, what have you done? I just clued in as to why it's in orange ink.
I think you would guess that if you're asked to pick a body part, that you're going to have to use that body part in some way. I don't think that's a spoiler alert.
It shouldn't
That's why
be.
I'm so intrigued by the...
But Sophie looks like stunned that that's an idea.
Let's see what that was all about then. Here we
Let's
go.
play!
I've got a hose pipe, I've got a cheese grater, I've got a vase, I've got a task.
Is there any difference between a hose pipe and a hose? Are those synonymous in the UK? No one says hose pipe over here.
Get the most orange juice in the vase.
Only your chosen items may touch oranges.
Only your spatula, shears and boobs can touch the oranges.
Right, okay.
Oh, crikey.
Nick said little toe, right?
It's oranges being squeezed with the ear I'm looking forward to.
I didn't think.
My lovely James Bond top is being chafed. Is anything coming?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He's already got more juice than Steve will ever get. I don't know what he's trying to do there. I have no idea. He's emoting like a wrestler.
What's it doing, your toe?
Oh, it's having a good time.
Oh!
Oh, my God.
Save me from destroying my nipples. This is doubling my tally.
Well, it looks like you're milking us.
I've done all right.
I feel like there's some hands touching oranges there. I mean, I hate to be a narc on Nick especially because he's such a sweetheart, but I feel like I saw hands on orange action.
Steve's was, I mean, the good thing about it was 13 millilitres, so you can take it on as hand luggage. As
I should have specified I like a metal spatula.
She's too bendy.
Oh, son of a...
Yeah, I feel like Joanne just made hand contact too.
Please don't break your arm.
Actually, that works really well.
Yeah.
OK, it does actually work.
I enter with the hose.
Oh.
And then I attack with the spatula.
It's a very sexual film.
So hot.
That's the money shot.
You little bastard. Come on. Come on.
20 seconds. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. You didn't use your ear much.
They're not pointy enough.
Joanne, you look like I've written sociopath here.
It was as sexual as orange juice can be.
It wasn't.
You didn't have to use them to pick up the balti pan at the end. I don't know why you did that.
Do I know
You can touch your items like everyone else was doing.
3 teaspoons.
I'm happy with that.
You shouldn't be.
So it's 4 points to Joanne, 3 to Nick, 2 to Sophie, but John got 199 millilitres and 5 points!
There it is!
So I might update you on the series scores briefly.
Yes, please.
Joanne 117, John 127.
Right.
In this episode,
127.
Nick is in the lead with 16 points.
Paint a face on your ball. You may not touch your balls with anything other than your tools.
We're off. The crowd have gone wild.
Yeah. Steve's got a good tactic there. Oh no, Nick! Ah!
Thank you.
Is it okay for me to give Nick a little tip?
Yes.
If you raise your head, the ball moves away from you.
Surely it's the same. That's the same distance, Greg.
Fucking tip back.
It's fun.
Give me your reactions and you can judge them all at the end. Here we go.
Wow.
Face number 2.
Wow.
Third face.
Okay.
Okay, here's the 4th.
Oh. Now, who's this lady?
Yeah.
Sad, though.
That's because we haven't met yet.
Okay, the final face.
Not a face. Not a face.
So 1 point to bottom right.
Yes. I find top right so disturbing.
That's a normal human response.
Any more than 2 points. Now we're into dream date territory. The mysterious girl from the 1920s gets 5.
Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty valid ranking.
Bottom left is obviously Nick Mohammed, 3 points. And then top left, that's 4 points to Mr. John Robbins. Well done, John.
And Nick
And 5
wins.
points. The self-portrait is Sophie Willan. Well done, Sophie. The winner with 19 points is Mr. Nick Mohammed.
Nick wins an episode. Pigs can fly. No, that's mean. That's mean of me to say. But good for Nick. That's awesome. Kudos again to Neil Amor, Location Sound, for his pivotal role in today's episode. All right, and I am still recording, so that's a step in the right direction. All right. Yeah, I think this is my first time needing to do a second reaction for a Taskmaster episode. I've had to do it for a couple of other shows over the years, but I think this is my first time having to do it for a Taskmaster, and I was worried, but I'm really grateful to realize that it's just as funny the second time around. That's kind of awesome. I shouldn't be surprised. You guys know how much I laugh when I watch this show, and even when the surprise is gone, the comedy remains. So that was just as fun seeing it the second time. We have to congratulate Nick Mohammed. 2 or 3 episodes ago, last episode, I was convinced that he would never win an episode. I figured he and Sophie had no chance. They've been so consistently at the bottom of the table this series. John seems to be running away with things, but Joanne and Steve have been very strong podium finishers, it feels like, every week. And somehow or other, Nick pulls off a surprise win, and it's a good feeling because he's such a sweetheart. He's such a good dude. You're just happy for him. I never thought I'd be saying these words about Mr. Swallow, but I'm not, because he's not being Mr. Swallow on this show. He's just being Nick Mohammed, and who knew that Nick Mohammed, a really good guy. I'm so happy for him. I'm very curious because I'm assuming most of the UK only knows of him, if they know of him at all, as Mr. Swallow. So does an appearance like this just totally change the public perception of the man and the actor and the performer, the comedian? Like, what would it be? what's his first Mr. Swallow appearance post Taskmaster? What's the reception like? Has it changed? I don't know. I'm really curious, but yeah, I'm just happy for him. That was a lot, really nice to see. That being said, we only have a couple episodes to go, and I'll say it again, even though I've already seen episodes 8 and 9. But I hadn't. I said it the first time. I remember saying this the first time. I don't think Sophie's going to win an episode. I just don't see her stringing together that much luck. She certainly won at single tasks multiple times throughout the series, but stringing enough of them together, she just has catastrophic failures too often. And in any case, let's quickly work our way through the tasks. This is probably going to be a slightly quicker wrap up than I normally do, but let's see what happens. Anyway, the prize task, the Snazziest hollow thing. Topologically speaking, does hollow require a fully enclosed space? Not necessarily permanently enclosed, but closable. I don't think a boot counts as hollow. I know I'm being frickin' pedantic, but deal with it. You're watching my channel. I'm going to say what I'd like. So, yes, I don't think... I mean, Joanne's boot was snazzy, but I don't think it was hollow, and I don't, like Greg, see what the point of adding fries chips to it was. It would have gotten 1 point in my book. Probably. John getting a faux Fabergé egg. That's cool, but I feel like something needed to be done to it. He knew he had to put something in there, and he did. He put in the fake task. I'm not sure if that was the winning move, and clearly it wasn't the winning move because Greg really had no appreciation of the egg at all. Sophie had her glittery conch. Do you guys say conch or conch? I tend to say conch, but that's by no means universal over here. And really, my major exposure to that word is Lord of the Flies. In any case, Sophie's conch was glittery and did very well. Nick brought in a music soundtrack to a movie. I can't say I know the soundtrack, but I'm familiar with the movie. Yeah, he did get lucky getting 3 points there. And Steve overplayed the prize round yet again. He seems to do that almost every week to great effect. He wins quite frequently. But this one felt a little too maneuvered. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with getting Greg to do something that he's unaware he's doing. That's always a lot of fun. I like the anagram of prize task as cat zipser. I think what fell flat for me in his presentation was what he had Greg promised to do. Like, I wish I knew the context of why Greg decided to promise to show up as a Minotaur with the intent, with the full intention of never following through on that. Like, what was that needed to be explained to me for that hollow promise to ring true. It felt a little staged, almost. But in any case, I've always admired how much effort and time Steve's put into his prize tasks, and he's done it yet again. So I can't begrudge him too much for getting the full 5 points there. The first in-house task was, what have I caught? And I'd like to talk about the design of this task rather than the performance by the contestants, because, Alex says afterwards he was hoping that somebody would have the guts to just say fish right off the very top without following the line in an effort to be fast. And yes, all the clues pointed to fish being the answer, but all the clues also just pointed to it being a fishing themed task. And the only direct clue that specifically said the answer was fish was the tag stuck on everybody's hip waiter, the back of everybody's hip waders by Neil the Soundman. And I'm going to refer to him as Neil the Soundman because Neils are relatively few and far between, and we deserve our moment in the sun whenever it happens. And man, is he a stereotypical soundman. I've worked with a bunch over the years. They're all very serious, studious men. Always men. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, the industry's kind of traditionally male. I'm sure there's some female location sound mixers out there. I haven't had the opportunity to work with any. but they're all very much of a type, and they have way better ears than I will ever have, ever. But he did an excellent acting performance 5 times. I applaud him for that. But let me get back to my point. Alex was hoping somebody would forego chasing the string around and just declare the answer to be fish. And I'm trying to envision what kind of contestant would actually do that. You would need to be overly confident. You would need to be a little bit desperate. You need the points. So you have to be competitive enough to do it. I don't feel like any of that meshes with the general British personality type. And yes, I understand it. There's infinite personality types within the UK, but there are cultural norms, if you will. And I just can't envision, like maybe like, if Russell Brand was on the show or something, maybe someone like he would just declare unilaterally without really caring too much that the answer was fish because they just couldn't be bothered to chase the string. But I think if this particular series has a flaw, and I don't personally think it's a flaw, but it may be a flaw to Alex's reasoning. We don't have anyone who doesn't give a fuck this series. We don't have a Joe Brand this series. We don't have a David Baddiel. We have 5 people who, whether they're being successful or not, are all trying in every episode. And so I think it would be antithetical to any one of them to actually just give up, so to speak, and declare that they have caught a fish without following the line, or at least trying to. Anyway, that's my thought. And Nick just crushed it. Nick's just really good at following a single line. Kudos to him. Next up, without singing, humming, and such, perform a recognizable piece of classical music. 4 people did this right. Or at least 4 people attempted this in the correct way. Joanne's interpretive dance really wasn't interpretive dance at all. It just became a bad game of charades. A, she spoke during charades, which, kind of against the point. B, beer is not the first syllable of bolero. B, the second syllable of bolero is not solera. Is solera a brand or is it like a particular flavor? You tell me. Anyway, and then just because Greg figured out her cheating charade, because she did speak multiple times, she gets 3 points. Also because Sophie basically defaulted those 3 points to her. Classic Sophie move. But then the other 4 created musical instruments of varying degree of success. 3 of them played a version of music that could be seen to mimic a piece of classical music, especially when that classical music was played as a backing track. And then I'm not sure what Steve was trying to play. I mean, he says green sleeves, but like I literally watched both versions of his performance, the one with the Beethoven and the one with green sleeves under it, twice now, and I cannot say one is closer than the other. And I'm sure like you could play a Green Day track behind it and it would be just as much of a match. Nevertheless, Nick crushed this one. He's clearly got a musical ear and he knows enough about tuning a bottle partially full of water that he got the opening bars of Eine Kleine Nacht music. Like this is what blows me away on this show. If you had a bunch of American comedians doing Taskmaster on American Taskmaster, I don't think the repertoire of skills that they bring to the table would include doing anything even remotely like that. But it's so cool to see when it happens. And honestly, John's rubber band harp was pretty dang impressive too. Yeah, that was a fun one. Next task. I feel like there should be almost like a coach for contestants on this show, or at least like a pre-taping briefing. And one of the topics that ought to be covered is if you ever get an envelope, a task envelope, that has you do something that doesn't seem that hard, assume that is not the entirety of the task. So if you have to confess to Alex your favorite kitchen utensil and proclaim a garden tool and shout a body part at him. Know that that's not going to be the whole task. And knowing that it's not the whole task, take a second, 1 second, to think about things that may be useful from those categories. Now, granted, you don't know what you're going to be asked to do with those tools, so there's certainly an element of randomness and luck to it all. But naming baby toe or ear may not be as useful as saying hands. I know it's boring, but like how good would you have felt if you got to squeeze orange juice with your hands in this task, knowing you're going up against Sophie's boobs or Steve's armpit? You know, there's obviously some more randomness with the kitchen utensils, the garden tools. Like you could have lucked out and gotten and said waffle iron. A waffle iron would have been perfect for juicing oranges. So would, I think the shears were a really lucky choice. Nick and Sophie had shears and they both did very well. John did the best, partly because he had his forearms. He had his use of his forearms, like actually practical. He may have done even better if he didn't think he had to carry his little mini walk around with those forearms as well. But yeah, that was a fun task. I feel like that's the kind of task where if you're a fan of the show and you put real thought into the competition, you could really crush the win. And I'll admit, it wasn't until my second viewing where I realized the significance of the orange ink. I finally put it all together upon a second watch. So that was fun and clever and so very, very Alex Horne. And then we get to our final task in the show on the stage with the head contraptions, the balls dangling on sticks. And if you lift your head, the ball goes up. Nick was technically right. It doesn't get any further away, but it doesn't get any easier to work on by looking up because it stays at that same point in your vision. Anyway, I've got no problem with Greg scoring on that. My big takeaway from seeing a task like that is thinking how much fun it would be at a house party. It would take some planning for sure. Like, you're going down and, chopping up some wigs and buying paints and balls and spending a lot of time sturdily attaching sticks to helmets and, not a cheap thing all things considered, but I can only imagine it would be a ton of fun. If I ever get the opportunity to participate in any kind of Taskmaster. I know there's some amateur knockoff style productions. I know there's that one in Minnesota. I think there's another one that's circulating around right now. I haven't had an opportunity to check them out. But if there's ever a Taskmaster convention that I'm at and somebody runs even just a single day Taskmaster competition for minor Taskmaster celebrity types, sign me the frick up. I'll be all over that. That'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah, great episode. Even the second time watching, I've already seen episodes 8 and 9, but those reactions will be coming out as quick as possible. I'm trying to get all of them out before episode 10 drops on Friday. It's going to be down to the wire. Here's crossing fingers that I get there. Until the next one, everybody. Take care. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thanks, Neil.